All right, greetings students. We're gonna begin with our speed drills today. We're gonna do Monday and Tuesday here in class. That's when you're here. But today, it's probably Wednesday when you're watching this. Wednesday, you are gonna do on your own. So set a timer for 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Make sure you don't give yourself too much time. It's a speed drill. So work as fast as you can, answer as many questions correctly as you can, like we usually do here in class, but don't worry about grading it. We'll grade them whenever we come back to school. So go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll continue with our class hour. All right, hope you paused it already and played it. We're back on lesson 74. I'm gonna read through the material like I usually do. Go ahead and open your books to page 360 and follow along as I read. I want you to be able to see the problems that I'm talking about as you're watching the video, okay? So lesson 74, we're gonna start down at the bottom of the page. In this lesson, we will use the graph paper to create a coordinate plane, okay? And you'll be given graph paper here in class. Then we will graph points on the coordinate plane that are vertices of a rectangle. We will use the figure that we draw to help us answer questions about the rectangle. And so go up here to page 361 where it says example, and let's continue. The vertices of a rectangle are located at the points, and remember the x comes first and then it's the y. So in this case it's -1, -1, then we have 3, -1, then we have 3, 2, and then -1, 2. So we graph the rectangle and find its perimeter and its area. So let's go down here to the solution. Using graph paper, we trace over 2 perpendicular lines on the graph paper to make the x-axis and the y-axis, okay? So on your paper, I would go to the center of it. You're gonna go ahead and do a vertical line like this. Make sure you follow the blue lines that are on the graph paper. That way you don't throw yourself off. And this will be the y-axis, and then you're gonna go horizontally like that, and that'll be your x-axis. So you can graph your paper like that. Okay. Your graph paper comes with a bunch of little squares on it, so just make sure you follow the lines and make straight lines as you go. All right, let's continue. Using graph paper, we trace over 2 perpendicular lines on the graph paper to make the x-axis and the y-axis. Then we graph and label the points. The problem states that these points are the vertices of a rectangle. So we draw a horizontal and vertical segments to connect the points and draw the rectangle. So in the middle of your page, page 361, you'll see a graph and the points are already plotted for you. If you look at the at the top left-hand side, you see -1, 2 is plotted for you. There's a little point right there. And then if you go to the right there on the top, you have 3, 2. Then if you go to the bottom left, you have -1, -1. And if you look at the bottom right, you have 3, -1. These are the points that were given in the example. We see that the rectangle is 4 units long and 3 units wide. Adding, we find the perimeter is 14 units. To find the area, we may count the unit squares within the rectangle. There are 3 rows of 4 squares. So the area of the rectangle is 3 times 4, which is 12 square units, okay? So this is just like your regular finding the area and perimeter of an object, okay? Remember, when you're doing perimeter, you're adding all 4 sides. When you're doing, when you're looking for the area, you're multiplying the length times the width, and that's what they did here, okay? So for practice, use your graph paper to create a coordinate plane. Then graph the points and use the figure to help you answer the following questions, okay? So I'm gonna have you go ahead and do this on your own. If you need to pause the video and graph it, go ahead. And once you've done that, we'll go on. The vertices of a rectangle are located at -2 and -1. So that's your first point. Then +2, -1. Then +2 and +3. And then -2 and +3. Now, remember, there's your y-axis, there's your x-axis. Anything going up here, so we'll draw our lines here. These are gonna be your positive y numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd make it at least, try to get it 8 8 high. You don't have to go that high. And then the numbers down here, these are going to represent your negative y numbers. So -1, -2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So for y, your positive numbers go up. And then for y, your negative numbers go down. Okay? Now for x, you're going to do the same thing. To the right, you're going to have your positive numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. And that's your x-axis. And then your negative numbers on your x-axis are to the left. 1, 2, 3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Okay? So again, your positive numbers go to the right for the x, to the left, negative, down, negative for y, and up is positive for y. If you need examples, you can refer back to the graph in the middle of page 361. And so it's going to ask several questions, letters A, B, and C. Go ahead and answer those questions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through problem sets 74, and I'm going to answer, or I'm going to work out on the board with you all the odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5, and so on. We'll work our way down till you get to 20. You'll work 20 out on your own. And then that's all we'll do for math for Wednesday, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and erase this board so you can see the problems on the board and we can work it out together, okay? Now, if you have any questions on how to solve a problem, any of the even number problems, you can shoot me an email. I'm pretty sure I'll have all that information on the video or on the website that you guys visit to get to this video. And you guys could just email me and ask me. I'll be available throughout the school day, okay? So, number 1, what is the reciprocal of 2 and 3/5? Okay, so we have our whole number 2 and 3 as our numerator and 5 as our denominator to make 2 and 3/5, okay? Now, before we could change this number into a reciprocal, we need to change this number, this mixed number, into an improper fraction. In order to do that, we write the multiplication symbol right there and the addition symbol right here. So we're going to multiply 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and then we're going to add this number to the numerator, the number 3. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then 10 plus 3 is 13. So we have 13 over 5. So now we can answer the question, what is the reciprocal of 13 over 5? And like we learned in lesson 30, the reciprocal is the number inverted or reversed, okay? So you take this number and the 5 becomes the numerator and the 13 becomes the denominator, okay? So the reciprocal of 13 over 5 is 5 over 13. That's the final answer to number 1, okay? Preferably in all of these problems that I do with you, don't just wait to get the final answer right there. Don't just wait to get the final answer. Make sure you do your work. Make sure you show your work, and that'll help.